Today I wanted to cover two of the most important things I'd tell any beginner who wants to pick up Valorant or CSGO. But before we get started, I think like 93% of everybody here is not subscribed, so if you enjoy this video or any of the ones you might have seen on this channel in the past, consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Let's hop into it. Back when I started playing Counter-Strike, I was about 11 or 12, and I was deathly afraid to use my microphone. One, because I was a beginner at the game and I didn't quite understand what was going on, and two, I was a squeaker, right? So I'm a pretty easy target on the internet. Once you pass that squeaker phase, your balls drop, you live your life, and your voice changes. I was still afraid to talk. Like, I didn't want to talk to anybody because I had done it for so long. I'd typed my callouts for so long that it was just second nature, and I was afraid to like really turn that push to talk button on and just call out. And that was my first mistake. To any beginner out there watching this, do not be afraid to make call outs. Do not be afraid to give your team information. It's the worst thing you can do is to sit there muted and just type your call outs or not say anything at all, and also play badly because you don't understand what's going on yet. I can assure you, any good or rational player on this game or on Counter-Strike will not get mad at you if you're having a bad game, but you're still calling out. And anybody who does, in my book, is just being a dickhead. Remember, as long as you're making an effort to help the team and win, nobody's going to get angry with you. But the moment you start tilting and the moment you stop listening and you do the same thing over and over again and you don't think about what's going on, then yeah, people are going to get mad at you. So keep a constant stream of communication and giving your team knowledge. I'm not talking about learning every call out on every map and knowing it to a T. Just describe things as they look to you, and somebody on your fucking team will understand and correct you. Let me give you an example. On Bind, if you go B side, you know how there's long and there's short. There's like the one that goes into hookah and the one that wraps around into the garden area. I've always called long like fountain for some reason. That's what I called it for a really long time. And even though I've called it fountain for so long, it's long basically. People get it. People understand what I mean when I say that. I know better now, but when that map came out, or like when the game came out, that's what I was calling it, and that's what everybody understood it as when I played with them. But eventually I understood that it was long, and I adjusted. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to give a bad call out and get corrected, and mentally jot that down and say, okay, next time I call that out, I know it now. I know that I called that out wrong, and it's okay. It's part of the learning process. How they tell you you were wrong, maybe they snap at you, maybe they get mad, or maybe they're rational people. But either way, take that information they're giving you and process it so you don't mess up next time. Looking back on myself not talking to people in a team game, like a game like this where information is so fucking important, like you need to know where people are at, and things happen so quickly. One pull of the trigger, one press of the mouse, your team is dead. Like, people are dying, and you cannot be typing call outs because nobody's going to look down there while they're trying to make split-second decisions. It's a game that can be played slow, but just equally as fast. Somebody can rush B but also slow play B. It's a game that really depends on call out. It very much depends on your communication, and that's something I never understood when I was younger. And I cringe just thinking about me playing in CEVO games or ESEA games and like typing call outs. I'm not gonna lie to you and say I calm every single game even now. Like, I'm still, sometimes I'll queue up in unrated, I'll put a show on my other monitor, and I'll just mute myself and my teammates, and I'll just chill and play the game. But if somebody makes it known to me in the game that they really want to win, or they're really playing to get some challenge done for their battle pass, I don't know, whatever the fuck, I'll make an effort. I'll unmute, I'll talk to them, and we'll play the game out. But I'm saying in especially competitive environments, like playing in ranked or playing where there's something on the line, whether it be money or status, whatever it is, be ready to talk and don't be scared to be wrong. You're going to be wrong sometimes. Sometimes you're going to call out they're behind you when they're in front of you, or to the left and they're at the right. You're going to make mistakes. Just don't worry about it. You'll live and you'll learn and you'll play the game and you'll get better. You'll play hours and hours and hours, and these call outs will just come to you eventually. But don't be afraid to be corrected, and don't argue with people when they correct you and you're in the wrong. It's okay to be wrong. And if you're like me and you started out playing these games with a lot of social anxiety and a lot of you don't want to talk to people because it scares you and you don't want to get yelled at, what helped me the most was remembering that these people on my team are people at the end of the day. They have the same fear that I do. At least one of them does. So don't be so scared about it. Second tip I have to give you is don't play nervous because you're afraid of dying. There's very much a difference between being a reserved player and a passive player, and being a player who is scared. Sometimes you have to take risk to get things done. Sometimes you have to make the calls and you have to be a leader. You have to be brave enough to tell your team that you want to try something new and it might not work out. And if it doesn't, you're shouldering that burden, but it's okay. There's two reasons why I think this happens. I think one, the more obvious one, is people don't want to die because you have to wait till the next round. Obviously, you have to wait like a minute or two before you can even play the game again. And two, I think people don't want to get yelled at by their teammates. And that sort of goes hand in hand with the first point. But the big idea is there's a healthy amount of risk taking that needs to happen for things to get done in this game. There's strategy to it, but ultimately you're going to have to take risks, whether that be on defense or offense. As you play more and more rounds, you start to understand how the opponent likes to play, and you start to adjust your defense or you start to adjust your offense to account for that. And that's what really will make you into a great player. Getting over the fear of losing a gunfight or getting shot in the back or getting flanked or whatever it is, whatever risk comes with whatever decision you're making, that will result in ultimately your death or your teammate's death, whatever it may be, is really the first step to improving. Like I said before, there's a difference between playing defensively and playing passively and playing like an anchor who loves to hold sight and playing in fear and playing scared of the enemy team. I think it becomes abundantly clear as soon as you see your teammate or whoever it is get in a gunfight. In my experience, this is very natural, but newer players will always panic because they don't want to die, they don't want to get yelled at, and they don't want to have to wait till the next round starts. So everything that you're trying to teach them sort of just flies out the window all in one moment. But as they play more and more, and as you play more and more, you start to encounter more and more gunfights, and that like panicky feeling where it feels like the person is in front of me, I need to kill them as fast as possible, starts to subside, and you really start to understand what you need to do in order to win that gunfight, rather than like fighting for your life per se. You're fighting to defeat the enemy, if that makes sense. Anyways, I think those are the two tips I got for you guys today. One, make sure you're using your voice chat, and two, don't be afraid to die. Don't be afraid to die, and don't play nervous. If this helps you out, consider subscribing, and I'll talk to you again soon.